You're tuned in to the 3 Pixels podcast. Hello and welcome back to the 3 Pixels podcast, PixelByte edition. Yes, we love doing these Pixel Bites and you keep eating them, so listen up. In this episode, we have our wonderful co-hosts. Of course, where would we be without them? We have Darby and Martin. Martin, how you doing?
Yeah, too easy, mate. I hope you're well as well. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this Pixel Bite. Brilliant.
Darby, how's it going?
Doing good, thank you. How are you?
All good, thank you very much. And with that, let's dive straight in. Warner Brothers have announced that all of its 2021 films will be released online the same day that they're released in cinemas. Films such as Tom and Jerry and Space Jam: New Legacy, on top of the new Wonder Woman movie, will be put onto the streaming service HBO Max in America. Warner Brothers have said that this one-year plan was in response to the unprecedented times, quote, people are living in. But some have criticised the move in what has been a tough year for cinemas. Of course, the coronavirus pandemic has meant that the cinema industry has been closed across the UK and across the world for much of the year. Many have been closed to reopen, to reclose, to reopen, and Cineworld here in the UK has been closed for quite some time now because of the dire situation, and even when they were open, people just weren't going to the cinemas. Anna Saunoff, Chair and Chief Executive of Warner Media Studios and Networks Group, said that because of the pandemic, the film industry had to come up with a creative solution. Earlier in the year, Warner Brothers announced that the new Wonder Woman film would be put onto HBO Max the same day that it is released in cinemas across the US. Of course, HBO Max isn't yet available in the UK or in other regions, but they aren't the first one to do this. Disney Plus put Mulan, of course, which we talked about famously on the podcast. Go back and listen to that episode if you haven't. And it's also announced it will be putting out another movie by fan favourite Pixar, Soul, on Christmas Day. Mixed feelings across the industry about this. Users obviously very happy that they can access this on their HBO Max subscription. An AMC boss, of course, AMC own many cinema chains, including here in the UK, Odeon. Aron has weighed in on Warner Media's news about debuting its entire 2021 theatrical release slate, including big hitter movies like Matrix 4. And he isn't a happy camper, safe to say. He says that Wonder Woman 1984 was a one-off, and that was fine, but the chain expects to fight hard when it comes to terms. Here's what he had to say. These coronavirus-impacted times are uncharted waters for us all, which is why AMC signed on to an HBO Max exception to customary practices for one film only, Wonder Woman 1984, being released by Warner Brothers at Christmas when the pandemic appears that it will be at its height. However, Warner now hopes to do all this across their 2021 theatrical movies, despite the likelihood that with vaccines right around the corner, the theatre business is expected to recover. Clearly, Warner Media intends to sacrifice a considerable portion of the profitability of its movie studio division and that of its production partners and filmmakers to subsidize its HBO Max startup. As for AMC, we will do all in our power to ensure that Warner does not do so at our expense. We will aggressively pursue economic terms that preserve our business. We have already commenced an immediate and urgent dialogue with the leadership of Warner on this subject. As this issue gets sorted out, we are nonetheless encouraged that vaccines protecting society at large against the coronavirus are very much at hand, so it is our expectation that moviegoers soon will be able to once again be in delight in coming to our theatres without any worry, viewing the world's best movies safely in our big seats with our big sound and our big screens. So, of course, here quite rightly, Aron here from AMC really wants us to return to the cinema quite soon. Their profits, I'm sure, are looking bleak right now, and so they are for their competitors as well. Cineworld having closed their cinemas for quite some time now. Yes, the vaccine is becoming a bit more widespread, and the UK being one of the first countries in the world to start this rollout, which is only going to continue more and more as countries start to approve the vaccine. But, Davi, do you think that people have gotten used to watching stuff at home? And also, do you think that the way people look at sharing these enclosed spaces indoors with large groups of people have changed?
I absolutely feel that even once these vaccines are widely implemented, and our herd immunity finally starts to take effect, I think a lot of people still won't feel comfortable enough to go back into a cinema. But more than that, I think right now, I think that Aron is being too optimistic about the timeline for 2021 in general. It feels like this entire experience since March has been one of hope, and then dashed hopes, and then waiting. And it feels as though every time we've had someone tell us that the end of this is right on the horizon, it's all turned out to be either false entirely, or any promising headway has taken much longer than was initially expected. And while I'm very excited about the vaccines coming out and beginning to be implemented, I think that this 2020 timeline is much shorter than it actually will be in reality, especially given that I know several people personally who would qualify for the first rounds of vaccines, and they are discussing refusing it, either because they don't believe in the validity of the vaccine, or because they think they would be better off having the coronavirus and fighting it off. I think AMC shouldn't be hedging its bets on people heading straight back into movie theaters, even as soon as possible. I mean, even before these unprecedented times, it's not like we all went to the movie theater all the time anyway. I mean, I can't even remember the last time I was in a movie theater.
Yeah, upon what Darby said, I can't see the movie industry, or in better case in this scenario, cinemas really coming back with a massive vengeance. I think there's now been a shift towards home movies. I feel like the prototype that was Mulan, although a lot of Mulan got a lot of backlash to it, I think there's a lot of untapped potential in that. And I think for a lot of people, they would feel safer being at home with friends, sort of watching maybe like on streaming services with one another, like maybe on the phone saying, okay, I'm going to pause now because I need a wee or something. I think people feel safer that way. And this is a bit of a shame because cinemas have, since 2015 till 2019, have always had in the UK 171 million admissions, 5 to 6 years. Now, I cannot see them even breaking 100 million, which is the worst since 2001, which is 155 million. I feel like we will not hit 100 million admissions into cinemas come 2020, obviously, and in 2021. And I'd even bet, even saying 2022, because I feel like movies, a lot of people do not go to them. People find them expensive. People, when they go there, don't want to pay for, in America they call soda, we say over here, like fizzy drinks. People don't really want to buy popcorn. Also, if you have a family of 4, 5, 6 or whatever, that's a lot of money just going towards a film that you could just stream off a service that you pay monthly for like $3.99 over here or whatever it is. And I think it has changed now. I think this is actually the kick up the butt that cinemas actually needed. I feel it's just a natural progression. Cinemas we always say even on here, we have said that people don't go to cinemas anymore, and it's partly true. And I feel like we'll be saying in about 10 years' time, like, what's a cinema? Or we'll have something that's not dedicated just to film anymore. I feel like something has changed, maybe for the better, maybe for the worse, but I don't see cinemas having this massive comeback anymore.
It's a very complex topic because there's lots of moving parts in the movie industry, and cinemas aren't the only one that's been hurting. You know, the biggest franchises from James Bond here in the UK to Marvel in the US have had to delay films, and this all got cost. So I feel Warner Brothers' pain in the sense that, yeah, all right, they're a big company, they make a lot of money. I'm sure that they're not going anywhere soon. I don't mean it in that way. What I mean is that, like, these movies, you know, there's a lot of people that have worked really hard on them, you know, even down to the people who made the actors tea and coffee. Like, it's a whole team effort. And for that movie to be on hold and not be able to go out to the cinema and get delayed, it's just like really disheartening for the people who've worked so hard on it. So I understand exactly where Warner Brothers are coming from to get this movie out so that, you know, they can keep things flowing and keep things moving. And they're perfectly within their right to bring it out on HBO Max. I'd like to see a more global like resource so that people can access it elsewhere as well. Because obviously it's only really Disney Plus in this scenario that's sort of done this kind of global release. And I'd like to see possibly a bit more of that. But it's tricky. It's something that I find a little difficult myself because I am someone that generally enjoys the idea of the movie experience and enjoys the big screen cinema. And I think that home cinemas have become a hell of a long way, but it's still not there without spending a ridiculous amount of money. But talking about that, I do think that what will encourage people to want to watch stuff at home as well is that they probably have spent money on upgrading their home setups because they've spent so much time at home. They haven't gone anywhere, haven't gone on holidays. People probably and have, you know, especially over Black Friday and, you know, and before then, you know, spending more monies on nicer TVs or like nicer speakers or things like that, just to, I'm at home, I might as well make it nice type thing. So I think there's even less encouragement in that side of things. Well, I've spent this money on my setup, I probably want to make the use of it and all that. And, you know, that's before you go into the whole social distancing and COVID and being in a room. And I think, yeah, it's going to take people a long time to get back into the idea of being close to people again in that way. And I think, you know, lots of industries around hospitality are really going to have to deal with this for a long time to come. And especially as we, as a world, really, especially in the Western nations, are going to really see a recession like we haven't seen before in a very long time. Times are going to get really hard and money is going to be really an issue, and spending that kind of money on the cinema tickets is not going to be something that a lot of families could even consider doing. So buying a pass, buying a subscription for the whole family is going to be a lot more appealing for them than spending a lot of money, especially when people have lost jobs and had pay cuts and just not financially stable in the whole way possible. I think that the whole economical factor is gonna really play a big part in this as well, because when people have got spare money, they're more likely to go out and do nice things like go and eat at restaurants, go to the cinema, see a concert, see a play, all those kind of things. So I do think that it's going to take quite a bit of time before people will want to, for many different factors. So yeah, I think that we're a way off yet, and I'd like to still see our big movies come out in some way so the audience can enjoy them, even though personally as a movie fan and I enjoy the experience, I'd love to go back and see sort of big movie experiences like I did with Endgame sometime soon.
I expect that the next time I walk into a movie theater will not be, oh, I just gotta go see this movie on the big screen. It's going to be, oh, Ben just really needs to see this movie on the big screen. And therefore...
Throwing me into the bus here.
Yeah, a lot.
Wow.
I don't like the fact that people crunch their popcorn, especially when they have the big, large ones that they're on about and premium seats, or jealous of them. I think, yes, there is that mystique and allure of people like couples or families going out. It's a day out almost. It's like a bit of time filler. I like the cinema, but that's as far as it goes. I like it, but I don't need to think, oh, I really need to see this film in this particular area on this big screen. The only film that actually comes to mind that has even come close in the most recent years is probably Interstellar, which is probably the only film that I've watched and gone, yeah, I probably should have saw this in the cinema, actually. Beyond that, there hasn't been too many that come to mind that I felt, oh, I really need to see this in the cinema.
I don't think that cinemas will completely die out, even purely for nostalgia's sake. I mean, my very first date ever was at a movie theater. It's a classic date night. You go for dinner and a movie. And especially in big cities, I think there's still going to be enough of a market to keep some theaters open, for sure. I don't think that they'll go away completely. I just don't think that I'll be participating very much. And I also don't think that every movie theater is going to make it out of this, unfortunately.
Do you have a movie memory? Feel free to share it with us on social media. Maybe you have a favorite moment of a time, I know such a long time ago now, where you went to the movie theaters. We'd love to hear it. Let us know on our social. But with that, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We hope you've enjoyed listening to it just as much as we've enjoyed putting it together for you. Thank you very much to our two wonderful co-hosts. We have Martin and Darby. Darby, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
More than welcome. Martin, thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for letting me come on here once again, Ben. Thank you.
And only time will tell what will happen to the movie industry, but I'll very much be looking forward to seeing the new Wonder Woman movie at Christmas, and also, of course, the latest offering from Pixar. Can't miss it. And with that, we'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Adios.
See you later.
Ta-ta for now.
You're tuned in to the 3 Pixels podcast.